The three of them stared fearlessly at the monster before them, their eyes filled with determination. They were ready to fight to the death. Black Mist, seeing that none of them chose to run, found the situation increasingly amusing. To him, this only made things more interesting, and more entertaining. The fact that these people weren't running away. For him, it was nothing but pure advantage. These people could never defeat him. In the end, they would only become his nourishment. You really are becoming more and more amusing. Since none of you are planning to run, then all of you can stay and become my food. As soon as Black Mist finished speaking, he launched what he intended to be his final attack on Jiang Nu and the others. Jiang Nu and the others understood very well that they could no longer afford to drag this out. Jiang Nu, in particular, had a bold idea in his heart. He had to break through his cultivation level. Only by advancing further could he hope to defeat Black Mist. You three, cover me for a moment. I have a crucial thing to do. If this works, I'll be able to save all of you. Hearing Jiang Nu's words, Liu Hai and the others immediately nodded. No matter what Jiang Nu wanted to do, all they had to do was trust him and do their part. Jiang Nu would definitely protect them. Jiang Nu, whatever it is you're planning, we'll support you. But you absolutely must not die. Jiang Nu nodded firmly at their words. He wouldn't die, not yet. He still had a long road ahead of him, and he was determined to be the winner of this game. He moved to the side, starting to gather all the energy within his body, focusing it together. His top priority now was to break through his cultivation level. Only then would he have a real chance at defeating Black Mist. Ling Zai, watching Jiang Nu's actions, quickly realized what he was trying to do. But she also knew it was far too dangerous. As a nine-tailed fox, she possessed certain abilities that could help others improve their powers. Without hesitation, Ling Zai stepped behind Jiang Nu, sliced open a wound on her palm with a knife, and began pouring all her energy directly into Jiang Nu's body. Jiang Nu immediately felt the surge of energy coming from Ling Zai and his body began to absorb it instinctively. Realizing this wasn't normal, Jiang Nu tried to resist, but at this point, he had no way to stop it. Black Mist also noticed the situation, and his expression darkened. He couldn't let this continue. If Jiang Nu and Ling Zai kept going like this, he would definitely be defeated. Black Mist immediately charged toward them, but Liu Hai and Lin Xiao quickly intercepted him, doing everything they could to hold him back. Lin Xiao, we must stop Black Mist's attack. Otherwise, Jiang Nu and Ling Zai will be in danger. Lin Xiao nodded without hesitation, his hands never slowing for even a second. If he slipped up even a little, Jiang Nu and Ling Zai's lives would be at risk. That was something he couldn't afford. At the same time, Lin Xiao silently began drawing out the power within himself. Right now, the only way to deal with this situation was to break through his own limits. Everyone present was fighting with everything they had to defeat Black Mist. Even Lin Xiao, who had always kept his power sealed and restrained, was finally loosening his own bindings. Lin Xiao was naturally extremely gifted, but he had always chosen to suppress his cultivation. Life before this had been peaceful and there simply hadn't been a need to use his full strength. But now, with real danger before him, with his companions' lives on the line, Lin Xiao couldn't hold back any longer. Seeing all this, Black Mist finally realized just how terrifying this group of people really was. Had he known things would turn out like this, he would have eliminated them much earlier. He wouldn't have ended up in such a passive and dangerous situation. But it was too late for regrets now. Jiang Nu and the others were already in the process of overturning everything. Black Mist could only watch as the situation spiraled beyond his control, bitterly aware that regret alone could do nothing to save him now. If he wanted to kill these people, he had only one option left: to use his most powerful and deadly move. This was a technique Black Mist had cultivated for countless years, his ultimate trump card. If he succeeded, all he needed was time to recover, and he would be fine. But if he failed, then he would be completely at their mercy. Even so, Black Mist couldn't waste time hesitating. Right now, the only thing he could do was kill every last one of them. Gradually, Black Mist began to manifest into a true physical form, rising slowly into the air while continuously absorbing dark energy around him. Even the villagers who had long fallen into madness were beginning to gather and move toward the forest. Outside, the group of monsters who had come with Ling's eye immediately noticed something was wrong. They fought desperately to guard the bamboo forest, not wanting to let these villagers enter. But the problem was, they couldn't hurt the villagers. And yet the villagers, completely consumed by madness, were attacking them with lethal force. If they kept holding back just to protect these villagers, then in the end the only ones who would die here would be them. Boss, are we really not going to fight back? A younger Yao Guai, dressed in ragged clothes, turned anxiously to their leader, a figure well respected among their kind. If we don't fight back soon, we'll all be killed by these ordinary humans. Hearing this, the old Yao Guai fell silent. He had promised Jiang Niu that they wouldn't harm the villagers, and yet these very same villagers, now under Black Mist's control, were attacking them without hesitation. But even so, he refused to break his word. They're innocent, the old Yao Guai finally said. They're being controlled by that monster. Everyone, fall back. Leave this to me. The younger Yao Guai stared at him in disbelief. He knew exactly what the old Yao Guai intended to do, and what price that would demand. Boss, are you sure about this? His voice trembled. These people, they're just ordinary humans. They're not worth sacrificing yourself for. If you go through with this, you'll lose everything, your cultivation, your life. But the old Yao Guai merely nodded, his gaze calm and resolute. He had already considered the consequences, and yet he had no regrets. For those of us who cultivate, the worst thing we can do is let darkness fill our hearts, the old Yao Guai said quietly. As long as we hold on to kindness, we still have a chance of becoming truly powerful. To save these people, even if I lose everything, even if I die, it's worth it. Remember this, always be kind to others. Never become someone who bullies the weak. And with those final words, the old Yao Guai's body began to dissolve, scattering into the wind like dust. High above in the sky, his figure slowly vanished. As the Yao Guai energy that had clouded the villagers' minds dissipated, they slowly regained consciousness. Looking at the Yao Guai eyes before them, the fear returned to their faces. Why you? Why are monsters like you walking around in broad daylight? The irony of their words wasn't lost on the Yao Guai's. After all, just moments ago, these very same villagers had been the ones attacking like mindless beasts. But none of the Yao Guai's tried to explain. Instead, they quietly remembered their leader's teachings and the promise they had made to him. Meanwhile, Black Mist, realizing that his control over the villagers had been broken, was utterly furious. If he couldn't control them anymore, then he would consume the hatred and filth of this world itself. Drawing on the impurities of heaven and earth, on the greed and malice buried deep within human hearts, Black Mist's power surged to terrifying new heights. But Jiang Niu had also absorbed Black Mist's blood and spiritual energy. His cultivation soared from the 4th stage of Qi, gathering all the way to the 6th. When Jiang Niu slowly opened his eyes again, he was no longer the man he had been moments ago. He could feel everything that had just happened, and when his gaze locked onto Black Mist, it burned with fury. If not for this monster, the old Yao Guai wouldn't have needed to sacrifice his life. You've committed countless sins. Today will be your judgment day. But Black Mist only sneered, utterly dismissing Jiang Niu's words. So what if Jiang Niu had leveled up? Black Mist had grown stronger too. Did Jiang Niu really think he could surpass him so easily? The moment their battle began, Jiang Niu realized just how wide the gap between them still was. Black Mist, strengthened by all the hatred and filth of this world, has become unimaginably powerful. Jiang Niu, despite his breakthrough, could barely keep up. But none of them had noticed yet Lin Xiao had already begun to loosen the seal within his own body. Lin Xiao was no ordinary man. Long ago, he had realized the truth about himself. He was someone connected to the tree of life. As long as that tree existed, so would he. And when the moment came, he could draw upon its power. Now, facing death itself, Lin Xiao no longer hesitated. Slowly, energy began to surge within him, power, unlike anything he had ever released before. Just as Jiang Niu was knocked down hard onto the ground, unable to rise, Lin Xiao's eyes turned blood red. He stared at Black Mist, calm, cold, utterly focused. He knew exactly who his enemy was. Without hesitation, he raised his weapon and hurled it with all his might. The strike flew straight and true, piercing directly through Black Mist's heart. Even a creature like Black Mist, born of hatred and evil, still possessed a weakness. And that weakness was the heart. And now, Ling Xiao's strike had found its mark, piercing through it without mercy. Black Mist stared at Ling Xiao in utter disbelief. In this world, nothing should have been able to truly hurt him. Yet the person before him, Ling Xiao, had managed to strike the killing blow. That could only mean one thing: Ling Xiao was far stronger than he had imagined, and what he represented was life itself. Hope. Before Black Mist could even finish his thought, Jiang Nu's weapon pierced through him once more. And just like that, under the combined assault of Jiang Nu and Ling Xiao, Black Mist was finally destroyed. The moment Black Mist perished, Jiang Nu collapsed from exhaustion and fell unconscious. At the same time, a secret technique, a final reward from the fallen monster ray, was transferred to him. Of the four who had fought, only Liu Hai remained unscathed. Ling Xiao, too, had fainted from the backlash of unleashing his full power. Standing amid the chaos, Liu Hai looked helplessly at his three unconscious companions, unsure how he could carry them all out on his own. Then, an idea struck him of the Yao Guais who had come with them. Without wasting a second, Liu Hai rushed out of the bamboo forest and found the group of Yao Guai folk waiting anxiously beyond the tree line. There was no time to explain. The battle's over. Black Mist is dead. Hurry. Come help me. I can't carry all three of them on my own. The Yao Guais were stunned at first, but quickly snapped back to reality and followed Liu Hai inside. Working together, they carried the unconscious trio back to Ling Zai's cave dwelling. Back at the sanctuary, the Yao Guais looked at Ling Zai with complex, unreadable expressions. She now understood the truth of who she was and what power lay dormant inside her. For a long time, these Yao Guais had hidden that truth from her, afraid someone might one day try to take that power for themselves. Why are you the only one who came back unharmed? One of them questioned Liu Hai coldly. Didn't you promise to protect Ling Zai? This is the result of your so-called protection? Liu Hai had no words. No explanation could change what had already happened. He stood alone while the others were unconscious, and that fact alone made all his reasoning feel hollow. I'm sorry. We failed you. The Yao Guais turned away in silence, clearly unwilling to listen to any further excuses. That night passed quietly. The next morning, Jiang Nu and the others slowly regained consciousness. Ling Zai was the first to awaken. She looked down at her palms, dazed, overwhelmed by all that had happened. But deep down, she understood now she was different. From this moment forward, she would have to learn to protect herself. When Jiang Nu opened his eyes, he caught sight of Ling Zai's expression and his heart ached for her. He was deeply grateful, too. If not for Ling Zai's help, they might have all died at the hands of Black Mist. Ling Zai, thank you for saving us. Startled, Ling Zai snapped out of her thoughts. She shook her head. There's nothing to thank me for, Jiang Nu. I did what I had to for all of us. We all survived, didn't we? Jiang Nu nodded, but guilt still lingered in his heart. He was determined to repay her. He wouldn't let Ling Zai walk this path alone again. If you ever need our help, we'll be there. No matter what. Ling Zai nodded softly. After witnessing just how vast and beautiful the world truly was, she realized she didn't want to stay in the mountains forever. She wanted to grow stronger to protect this place and its people. Jiang Nu, I want to leave with you all, she said quietly. I don't want to hide here anymore. I finally understand just how small my strength is, and I want to become someone who can truly protect this mountain. Jiang Nu smiled, proud of her resolve. He believed in her. Believed she would grow into someone strong enough to stand tall, someone worthy of the world's respect. Ling Zai, don't worry. Everything you dream of, you'll make it happen. And so, Ling Zai joined Jiang Nu and the others once again, ready to journey beyond the mountain. But Ling Xiao still hadn't awakened. Even in his sleep, he was trapped in a nightmare, one he couldn't escape from. He tried over and over to free himself, but every time, He found himself back beneath that towering tree, the tree of life, as if his entire life would always be bound to it. Unable to break free, Jiang Niu and the others tried everything they could to wake him, but nothing worked. At last, Ling Zai stepped forward and activated her healing powers once more. Her offensive magic might not have been strong, but her gift for healing was unrivaled. Under Ling Zai's healing, Lin Xiao slowly began to regain consciousness. That nightmare he had just escaped from had felt far too real, a chilling echo of a lifetime spent in emptiness. He had always lived alone, without a single friend. Even after meeting Jiang Niu and the others, he still feared that when faced with danger, they would cast him aside just like everyone else. But now, things were different. Jiang Niu and the others had stayed. They had stood beside him, shared words of comfort, and never left him behind. In his heart, he was truly grateful for their presence, and he cherished them deeply. Jiang Niu, Lin Xiao murmured, Thank you for staying by my side." The three looked at him, startled and a bit confused. His sudden sentiment caught them off guard. "Lin Xiao, what's with you all of a sudden?" Jiang Niu blinked. "We're teammates, aren't we? Isn't it normal to help each other?" Lin Xiao smiled faintly and shook his head. He had seen it before. The way villagers would band together, only to abandon one another the moment things turned dangerous. But Jiang Niu and the others weren't like that. They had protected him without hesitation, shielding him through every peril. He considered himself lucky to have met such friends, loyal, steadfast, and true. "Nothing," he said softly. "I just feel like, with you all here, everything is going to be okay." Jiang Niu and Liu Hai both nodded. Lin Xiao had already become someone they trusted, and they, in turn, would never abandon him. They would walk forward together, growing stronger with every step, treasuring the bond they now shared. Standing nearby, Ling Zai quietly watched the three of them, smiling as she took in the warmth between them. She wasn't jealous, nor did she feel left out, because she knew it wouldn't be long before she, too, became part of this circle. She had already expressed her wish to join them, and Jiang Niu had agreed. Soon, she would travel alongside them, not just as a companion, but as a friend. Just then, as the three were still lost in the moment, Jiang Niu suddenly called over to her, "Ling Zai, come here." Liu Hai and Lin Xiao exchanged confused glances, not quite sure what Jiang Niu was thinking, though a part of them suspected what this meant. "Jiang Niu, what are you?" But before they could finish their thoughts, Jiang Niu had already reached out and pulled Ling Zai into their group. "From now on, Ling Zai is one of us," he declared. "She'll be traveling with us, and we'll help her find her parents." Lin Xiao and Liu Hai knew then that there was no point in objecting. Jiang Niu wasn't asking for permission, he was informing them of his decision. But truthfully, neither of them had ever intended to exclude her. After all, she had just fought by their side, risked her life for them, and proved herself time and again. Not to mention, her healing abilities were incredibly valuable. In the trials ahead, she could end up saving them all. "It's fine," Liu Hai said with a casual grin. "If Ling Zai really wants to come with us, of course she's welcome. Just keep in mind, we're all geese here, so you might have to put up with a little extra trouble." He meant no harm, just speaking with his usual blunt honesty. Lin Xiao, however, wasn't as relaxed. Their cultivation levels weren't particularly high to begin with, and after what Ling Zai had sacrificed to help Jiang Niu level up, her strength had been seriously depleted. If they encountered danger again, could they really protect her? "Are you sure about bringing Ling Zai along?" Lin Xiao asked. "Our cultivation is still too low. She's already lost a lot of her strength helping you. If we run into trouble, we might not be able to keep her safe." Among them, Lin Xiao was clearly the most level-headed, always thinking a few steps ahead. Ling Zai, hearing his concern, misunderstood his meaning. "It's fine," she said quietly. "I can take care of myself. If something happens, you don't need to worry about me. Just run. I'll work hard to recover as quickly as I can. I won't be a burden." Lin Xiao frowned as he looked at her. She had clearly misread his intentions, but he wasn't the kind to explain himself. Jiang Niu chuckled at the expression on Lin Xiao's face. It was rare to see such emotion from him. "All right, Ling Zai," Jiang Niu said, amused. "You don't have to worry." Lin Xiao wasn't saying number. He was just warning us to be cautious. He already agreed to let you join us. He just wants you to be mentally prepared. You're our teammate now. You're also the only girl in our group. How could we possibly leave you behind? Ling Zai finally relaxed and nodded. If Jiang Niu had changed his mind because of what Lin Xiao said, she would have been furious. "Apologies everyone. Due to some problems with the raw we had to delay the chapters, so we'll be doing double chapters today." At that moment, Lin Xiao suddenly remembered something important. If Ling Zai really intended to travel with them, had she informed the other Yao Guais yet? "We don't have a problem with you coming with us," he said. "But what about the others? Did you tell them you were leaving?" Ling Zai fell silent. She knew all too well how unpredictable the other Yao Guais could be. If they found out she planned to leave the mountain and set out on her own, they would never approve. "But no matter what," she said firmly, "I have to go out and see the world. I'll do my best to persuade them. Just wait for me." The others nodded. They still had unfinished business. They needed to return to the village and explain everything to the townspeople. "Then we'll head down first," Jiang Niu said. "The villagers deserve an explanation." With that, the trio descended the mountain and returned to Apricot Spring Town. Meanwhile, Ling Zai returned to her cave and quickly gathered the other Yao Guais. She was determined to tell them her decision. No matter how difficult it would be, she had to convince them. When Jiang Niu and the others arrived at the town, they immediately noticed how eerily quiet it was. Unlike before, there were no signs of life, no hustle and bustle. Jiang Niu frowned. This didn't make sense. The threat had been eliminated. Shouldn't the villagers be more active now? "Lin Xiao," Jiang Niu asked. "Can you sense anything strange? Is the town really safe? Why is no one coming out?" Lin Xiao nodded. "The town is much better than it used to be," he replied. "The deathly aura is completely gone. As for the villagers, I think they're still too afraid. They probably don't believe the danger is really gone. They might think more Yao Guais have arrived." Jiang Niu nodded. It made sense. The villagers had likely suffered a great deal under the black mist. Even with the Yao Guai vanquished, their fear lingered. "Then we'll just go door to door," Jiang Niu said. "Eventually, they'll believe us. And maybe, just maybe, this town will find its peace again." Lin Xiao and Liu Hai both nodded in agreement. There was no other way. They couldn't leave the villagers in the dark. After everything they'd been through to eliminate the Yao Guai, it would all be meaningless if no one knew the truth. So the three of them began spreading the word. But the townspeople responded with disbelief. They were convinced Jiang Niu was lying. How could such a powerful Yao Guai be so easily trounced? "Villagers, I'm not lying to you," Jiang Niu urged. "Didn't you notice? There were no Yao Guais last night." His words made some of the people pause and think. It was true. There had been no attacks the previous night. Even when there were strange noises, nothing had come to frighten them. "He's right," someone murmured. "There weren't any Yao Guais last night." "Maybe. But that doesn't mean they're gone for good," another said. "Exactly. What if the Yao Guais just held back because these people were here? What if, the moment they leave, that Yao Guai comes back and we all suffer again?" Doubt spread through the crowd. They murmured back and forth, unwilling to trust Jiang Niu's words. But Jiang Niu and the others didn't lose their temper. It was enough that the villagers had noticed something was different. Eventually, they would come to accept the truth. "Jiang Niu, where do we go now?" Liu Hai asked. Jiang Niu wondered aimlessly for a moment. Since the situation in the village had been handled, there was only one thing left to do. "Let's check on Ling Zai, see how things are going on her end." The three nodded and began climbing back up the mountain. But when they arrived, they were met with an unsettling silence. The entire mountain was far too quiet, a sharp contrast to the vibrant energy they had felt on their last visit. It was as if all signs of life had vanished overnight. "What's going on?" Jiang Niu muttered. "Is that black mist really still alive? Why haven't we seen a single Yao Guai?" Liu Hai added, his voice low. "And where's Ling Zai?" A growing unease settled over the group. Something was terribly wrong. By this point, Ling Xiao had already pieced everything together. Do you really think Ling Zai would leave with us that easily? Jiang Mu and Liu Hai exchanged confused glances when they heard Ling Xiao's words. Ling Zai had been the one who suggested traveling together in the first place. Why would she suddenly change her mind? What are you trying to say, Ling Xiao? Liu Hai asked, incredulous. This was Ling Zai's idea. She wouldn't just go back on her word, would she? But Ling Xiao shook his head. The real decision wasn't Ling Zai's to make, it lay with the Yao Gui's who had raised her. Just like how, in the human world, a child wouldn't travel far unless their parents agreed, Ling Zai wouldn't leave without the approval of those who had raised her. You're missing the point, Ling Xiao said. If you truly wanted to take Ling Zai with us, you should have discussed it with those Yao Gui's in advance. But now, even if you talk to them, they won't let her go. Jiang Mu and Liu Hai gradually emerged from their surprise. Ling Xiao had a point. If they were serious about this, they should have consulted the Yao Gui's earlier. The mountain's eerie silence likely meant that those Yao Gui's were doing everything they could to stop Ling Zai from leaving. But Ling Zai had already made up her mind. She's grown now, surely they should respect her wishes. It was her decision, Liu Hai said angrily. They should respect what she wants. But he clearly hadn't grasped Ling Xiao's full meaning. Jiang Mu, on the other hand, remained unusually quiet. Ling Xiao's reasoning struck a chord. If those Yao Gui's truly refused to let her go, then it doesn't matter what Ling Zai wanted, she might never be able to leave. So what now? Liu Hai muttered. We can't just leave her behind, at the very least, Jiang Mu said. We need to talk to her. If the Yao Gui's really won't let her go, then maybe she should stay. She can still. As soon as Jiang Mu heard that, he nodded decisively and set off in that direction. Cultivate here. Ling Xiao nodded. She's likely being kept in a small cave to the south. I think they've hidden her. Just as they approached the cave, a group of Yao Gui's stepped out to block their path. Why have you come back? One of them asked. Didn't you finish your business here? You should have left already. Jiang Mu greeted them with a respectful smile. We're here to see Ling Zai, he said. She told us she wanted to leave with us, and we agreed. We just want to ask her again, in person. But the moment the Yao Gui's heard that, their expressions darkened. They had already disagreed with Ling Zai's decision to leave, and now this man had the gall to return and challenge their wishes. Of course, they were furious. Leave, one of them snapped. Whatever Ling Zai said before, it was just talk. She won't be leaving this place. Jiang Mu immediately realized that Ling Xiao had been right all along. But unless they heard it from Ling Zai herself, they weren't going anywhere. I want to hear her say that to me, personally, he said. If she tells me herself that she's not coming, we'll go. The Yao Gui's stiffened. They hadn't expected Jiang Mu to be so persistent. No wonder even the powerful black mist had lost to them. This group was more determined than they looked. Believe what you want, one of the Yao Gui's said. But I'm telling the truth. Ling Zai is too young. Her cultivation is weakened, and she can't protect herself, let alone protect you. We won't allow her to go. Jiang Mu and the others listened quietly. They understood where the Yao Gui's were coming from. But the final choice wasn't theirs to make. Have you ever considered letting her grow? Jiang Mu asked. You've kept her sheltered under your wing all this time. What happens if you're not around someday? She won't know how to face the world on her own. The Yao Gui's listened quietly to Jiang Mu's words. They knew he spoke the truth, and they understood he genuinely wanted what was best for Ling Zai. But knowing the truth didn't make it any easier. They couldn't bear the thought of letting her go, not yet. As long as they still lived, as long as they were still here, they felt responsible for her safety. They couldn't simply hand her over to humans. Jiang Mu might be reliable, but he was human, and Ling Zai was Yao Gui. If conflict ever arose, wouldn't he side with his own people? You're right about everything, one of the Yao Gui's said heavily. But we still can't let Ling Zai go with you. Your identities, your loyalties, they're different. How could you ever truly walk the same path? Hearing this, Jiang Mu immediately understood their fears. They weren't being unreasonable. They were just worried about Ling Zai. I know what you're afraid of, Jiang Mu said gently. But even if conflict ever happens, we will never sacrifice Ling Zai. She's our friend. We would never let her come to harm. Yet despite his sincerity, The Yao Gui's still shook their heads. They couldn't bring themselves to trust completely. Seeing the conversation stall, Lin Xiao stepped forward, unwilling to watch Jiang Niu continue to struggle against a wall of stubbornness. If you really care about Ling Zai, Lin Xiao said, his voice sharp, then you should learn to let go. You can keep her caged today, but can you guard her every day for the rest of her life? What happens the next time she meets someone dangerous? Will she survive without knowing how to fend for herself? The Yao Gui's fell silent. Every word hit them where it hurt most. They knew Lin Xiao spoke the truth. Seeing their expressions shift, Jiang Niu realized they were finally listening. Then, Lin Xiao pulled something out from his sleeve and handed it to the Yao Guis. This is a locator charm, he explained. If you ever want to check on Ling Zai, you can use this to find her. And here, this is a communication talisman. If you're worried, you can always ask about her, and if we ever mistreat her, you can take her back. Hearing that, the Yao Guis visibly relaxed. With these assurances, maybe letting Ling Zai leave wasn't so terrifying after all. Fine, one of them said. We'll bring Ling Zai out. But you must remember your promise. Protect her well. Do not let her come to harm. Jiang Niu and the others nodded solemnly. They would never allow any harm to come to Ling Zai. Soon, Ling Zai was led out. The moment she spotted Jiang Niu and the others, relief washed over her face. She had been afraid they might abandon her after all. But they were still here, still waiting for her. Brother Jiang Niu, you're still here, Ling Zai called out excitedly. They agreed. I can go with you. Jiang Niu smiled and nodded. He had been certain it would turn out this way. Since everything's settled, he said. Let's get moving. Ling Zai beamed brightly, but when she turned to glance back, her smile wavered. She couldn't help feeling reluctant. Those Yao Guis had raised her and protected her through everything. Parting from them now felt like tearing something from her chest. You all take care, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I'll be back. And when I return, you'd better all still be here. The Yao Gui's eyes reddened to them. Ling Zai was like a child they had watched grow up. And now, the child was setting out on her own. We'll always be here waiting for you, one of them said hoarsely. Just be careful out there, and don't cause them too much trouble. Ling Zai nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. She looked like she might burst into tears at any moment. Not wanting to see her cry, the Yao Guis quickly turned and left, sparing her and themselves the pain of lingering goodbyes. Once they were gone, Ling Zai wiped at her eyes and followed Jiang Niu and the others. Their journey began anew. What had once been a three-person team had now quietly grown into four. The four of them traveled together for a long while, until they finally arrived at a small mountain village. Unlike the heavy, dangerous places they had visited before, this village was peaceful and serene. There was a kind of quiet happiness in the air, the kind that warmed the heart. After arriving in the village, Jiang Niu and the others decided to find a random household to stay for the night. It was already late, and they were deep in the wilderness with no inns or outposts nearby. Their only option was to rely on the kindness of the locals. Let's just find a house to rest in for tonight, Jiang Niu suggested. If we keep moving forward, we might run into danger after dark. Liu Hai and the others nodded in agreement, and they quickly approached the gate of a nearby courtyard, knocking politely. Not long after, a woman opened the door, her expression slightly startled at the sight of the four strangers. You are? She asked cautiously. Jiang Niu stepped forward with a bright smile. Good evening, big sis. We're travelers, just passing through. It's gotten quite late, and we were wondering if we might trouble you for a place to stay the night. The woman studied them for a moment, then nodded, her demeanor warm and kind. Come in. I don't have much space, but there are 2 spare rooms. They're a bit dusty since no one's used them in a while, but I hope you won't mind. Jiang Niu and the others were grateful just to have a roof over their heads. Not at all. Thank you so much. We'll clean it up ourselves. You don't need to trouble yourself. Hearing this, the woman smiled and left them to it. That night was perhaps the first time in a long while that Jiang Niu and his companions truly slept in peace. When they woke the next morning, they felt remarkably refreshed, like endless energy surged through their bodies. Do you feel it too? Jiang Niu asked as they gathered for breakfast. After sleeping, my body feels full of strength, no exhaustion at all. The others nodded. They had the same sensation but couldn't explain why. Maybe it was just the quality of sleep they had enjoyed. Probably because we finally got a proper night's sleep. Liu Hai shrugged. They didn't think too much of it. After a simple but delicious breakfast, Jiang Nu found himself marveling again. Even the food here tasted exceptional. Big sis, Jiang Nu asked curiously. Your food is amazing. How do you make it taste so good? The woman laughed. Everything we eat is grown by our own hands, she said. And we play music for the plants while they grow. She chuckled at their stunned expressions. We may be a small village, but many here know music. Plants flourish when they grow up listening to it. Jiang Nu was amazed. He hadn't expected such an explanation of using music to nurture crops. It was certainly something he had never heard before. No wonder, he said, laughing. It's incredible. Everything here feels different. Peaceful. What's this village called? Jiang Nu asked. It feels so serene. The woman smiled warmly. Everyone says that. Our village is called Friendly Village. We take our name to heart. Hearing that, everyone nodded with genuine smiles. The name truly suited the place. You all really live up to the name, Jiang Nu said warmly. Big sis, would it be alright if we stayed a little longer? We really like it here. They hadn't felt this safe and relaxed in a long time. It would be a good to rest properly before continuing their journey, and a peaceful place like this might even aid their cultivation. Jiang Nu especially needed time to stabilize his cultivation after his breakthrough to the 6th stage of Qi gathering. The woman beamed. Of course. It's an honor to have guests who appreciate our village. Rest as long as you like. I'll go and tidy up the rooms properly for you. The group gratefully accepted her kindness. Everyone quickly relaxed, soaking in the rare peace except for Lin Xiao. He couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. Truly peaceful places were rare in this world, and yet here, everything seemed too perfect. Don't you all think something about this village feels a little off? Lin Xiao said suddenly. The others turned to him, puzzled by his strange comment. This village looked so beautiful and peaceful. How could anything possibly be wrong? Why do you always have to ruin everyone's good mood? What could possibly be wrong here? There's absolutely nothing wrong, okay? Do you sense any Yao Guai? You don't. And look at the people here. Everyone has such kind, cheerful smiles on their faces. There's no way anything's amiss. Lin Xiao had never believed in the goodness of the world. Even when he saw something beautiful with his own eyes, he couldn't bring himself to trust it. And now, although he couldn't explain exactly what was wrong, he still couldn't shake the unease. It's true I don't sense any Yao Guai presence here, he admitted, but something about this place just feels off. Liu Hai didn't take Lin Xiao's warning to heart. He simply felt calm and at peace in this village. It gave him a strange desire to stay, to stop wandering altogether. Jiang Nu felt the same. He figured it was just because he'd been too tightly wounded lately and maybe he just needed a proper break. By tomorrow, he thought, the strange feeling would be gone. But what they didn't realize was that the most dangerous snares weren't the ones that struck swiftly. The cruelest traps boiled their prey slowly, like frogs in warm water. By the time you realized it, you were already a fish in someone else's net. Forget it, Lin Xiao. Let's just rest here for a while, Ling Zai said gently. I don't sense anything strange either. Maybe you're just overtired from everything lately. Hearing that, Lin Xiao could only nod helplessly. If everyone else thought nothing was wrong, then he had no reason to keep his guard up alone. So, the group stayed for a few more days. On the first day, Jiang Nu still circulated some of his internal energy. From that black mist, he'd acquired another martial technique here. Soul-stealing finger. The moment Jiang Nu saw the name, he understood how that black mist had managed to control so many villagers. Their very souls had been taken, making them completely subject to the black mist's will. Thankfully, they managed to save everyone in the end. Jiang Nu never intended to cultivate the technique. In fact, he wanted to keep it hidden. This dangerous martial art shouldn't be allowed to fall into anyone's hands. By the second day, though, Jiang Nu had completely lost the will to train. All he wanted was to relax and enjoy life in this peaceful village. He seemed to have forgotten why he came here at all. Liu Hai felt the same, but he didn't have Jiang Nu's mental discipline. On the very first day, He had already started enjoying his retirement. Only Lin Xiao remained vigilant. He couldn't believe anything in this world could be that perfect. He saw through the illusion. As for Ling Zai, young and inexperienced, she still believed everything around her was real. She, too, was unaware of the village's strange influence. By the fourth day, Lin Xiao finally noticed something was seriously wrong. "Have you noticed how lazy Jiang Niu and Liu Hai have gotten?" he said. At the very least, Jiang Niu used to train every day. But now, all he does is sunbathe or nap. When Ling Zai heard that, she began to realize something wasn't right either. Jiang Niu was always diligent when it came to cultivation. He never slacked off. "You're right," she said. "Something about this doesn't feel right." Jiang Niu and Liu Hai have grown lazier by the day. If this keeps up, maybe they'll never want to leave. Lin Xiao nodded in agreement. They decided it was time to talk to Jiang Niu and Liu Hai. But before they could, a loud commotion erupted outside, the first disruption this peaceful village had seen. The noise roused Jiang Niu and Liu Hai, who looked up irritated. The ruckus had awakened nearly the whole village, and everyone seemed annoyed. "What's going on? We should take a look," Jiang Niu muttered. The four of them stepped outside to investigate. What they saw surprised them. It was a mischievous young boy, shouting in the village square. He was strikingly handsome, his features carrying a hint of rebellion. He looked completely out of place in this village. "Stop trying to force me. I don't want to spend my days lying around and sunbathing. I'm still younger. I want to go out and see the world." But his family, upon hearing this, reacted as if he'd committed a great offense. This village had always prized peace and harmony. Never before had anyone expressed thoughts like those of the rebellious boy. To the villagers, a life spent wandering was one of misfortune and hardship. They didn't want their children to suffer such a fate, so they raised them with the belief that tranquility was everything. For generations, that had been the way of things here. Never had a single person gone against it. Until now. Watching this scene, Lin Xiao and Ling Zai realized that the boy is one of the very few who haven't been completely ensnared. Despite growing up in this village, the young man had managed to retain his passion and willpower. That alone was impressive. "Look at that kid," Jiang Niu remarked. "Doesn't he understand how fortunate he is to live in such a beautiful place? And yet he wants to leave. Once he gets a taste of how cruel the outside world is, he'll understand just how good he had it here." But when Lin Xiao heard that, he caught something strange in Jiang Niu's tone. Was that envy? Did Jiang Niu actually long for this kind of life? A simple, controlled routine? A life where even thinking for oneself was discouraged? "You envy this life?" Lin Xiao asked bluntly. "A life dictated entirely by others? A life where even the smallest shred of individual thought is considered wrong?" He stared at Jiang Niu seriously, clearly wanting a real answer. Jiang Niu was a bit taken aback by the question. This village seemed so calm and peaceful. How could it possibly be as rigid and suffocating as Lin Xiao claimed? "Lin Xiao, what are you even talking about?" Jiang Niu said. "This kind of peaceful life here where you don't have to run around every day. What's wrong with that? Isn't this happiness?" But Lin Xiao just shook his head, clearly disappointed. "Jiang Niu, you're too far gone," he said. "Have you forgotten who you were before we came here? You used to be so full of energy, always thinking about how to grow stronger. And now look at you. You really don't see what's happening?" Jiang Niu was about to argue back, but then, something clicked. He remembered how he used to be. Before coming to this village, he had dreams. He had a purpose, a goal. He trained hard every day. But now, he couldn't remember the last time he cultivated. Suddenly, everything made sense. "You're right," he said quietly. "This place, it isn't what it seems. If we stay here any longer, I'm afraid I'll become just like everyone else." Lin Xiao nodded. The fact that Jiang Niu could still snap out of it with just a few words meant the influence hadn't completely taken hold. But Liu Hai was a different story. "I'm glad you've come to your senses," Lin Xiao said. "But Liu Hai, I don't think he's recovered. Look at him. He's actually encouraging that young man to settle down and live a quiet life. I don't think we'll be able to pull him out of this so easily." Jiang Niu turned to look at Liu Hai, his expression heavy with guilt. This was his fault. If only he hadn't suggested they stay in this village a little longer, maybe Liu Hai wouldn't have ended up like this. So what do we do now? Should we just tell him the truth? Jiang Yu asked. Lin Xiao shook his head. It won't work, he said. He's already tasted the comfort and peace here. He won't believe us. The only way is to make him see for himself that this place is a trap. Jiang Yu and Ling Zai both nodded at that. The three of them fell silent, trying to think. Then, suddenly, Jiang Yu's gaze landed on the rebellious youth again. I've got it, he said. That boy, he might be the key to waking Liu Hai up. The others stayed quiet for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Jiang Yu might be onto something. If that boy really could help shake Liu Hai out of this, then they were willing to do whatever it took. Their next step was clear. They needed to talk to the boy urgently.